the beginning. We know how to draw graphs for y equals mx at c type equations. They are straight lines. Now we are going to study about the graphs for the functions of y equals ax squared type equations. The first example is y equals x squared. First, let's make the table of values for this function. Let's find the y values corresponding to these x values. When x is negative 2, y is x squared. So, y is 4. When x is negative 1, x squared is 1. X is 0, x squared is 0. When x is 1, then x squared is 1. Now let's mark the points on the graph. The first point is negative 2, 4. Negative 1, 1. 0, 0. 1, 1. And 2, 4. Now it's time to draw the graph. This is the graph for y equals x squared. The curve of the graph of y equals x squared type function is a parabola. The coordinates of the minimum point is 0, 0. The minimum value of the curve is 0. The turning point of this graph is also the coordinates of the minimum point, that is 0, 0. The axis of symmetry of the function is y-axis. The equation of the axis of symmetry is x equals 0. Now let's see some properties of this function. From negative 2 to 0, the value of the function decreases positively. After the decreasing, the function increases positively. The function increases positively from the value of x increases 0 to positive 3. The function is a minimum curve. The minimum value and the turning point of the curve is 0, 0. Find the coefficient of x squared and now draw the graph for the function of y equals 2x squared. For the table of values, when x is negative 2, x squared is 4 and 2x squared is 2 into 4, 8. When x is negative 1, x squared is 1 and 2x squared is 2. Negative 2, 8, negative 1, 2, 0, 0, 1, 2 and 2, 8. This is the graph of the function of y equals 2x squared. Now let's see some properties of this function. There is an important thing you have to remember. That is the difference between minimum point at the minimum value of the function. The minimum point is 0, 0 and the minimum value is the y value of the minimum point. In here, the minimum value is 0 because the y value of the minimum point is 0. The graph is a parabola and the parabola is symmetric around the y-axis. Then the axis of symmetry is y-axis and the equation of the axis of symmetry is x equals 0. See some common properties of graphs of the functions of form of y equals ax squared when a is greater than 0. There are some such graphs. They are y equals x squared, y equals 2x squared, y equals 4x squared and y equals 7x squared. You can see these four functions in one diagram. The coefficients are 1, 2, 4 and 7. When the coefficients increases from 1 to 7, you can see the graphs become skinnier. Now let's see some functions with the coefficients between 0 and 1 also. These are the graphs for y equals 1 second x squared, y equals 1/4 x squared and y equals 1/6 x squared. We can compare those functions also. When the coefficient reduces, you can see the graphs become wider. There are some common properties in all of these graphs. All of these graphs are parabolic graphs with minimum point 0, 0 and the minimum value of all the functions are 0. The graph is symmetric about y-axis and the equation of the axis of symmetry is x equals 0. This is the graph of the function of y equals x squared. Now let's see how the graph changes with the changing of the coefficient of x squared. When the coefficient increases, the graph goes skinnier and when the coefficient reduces, the graph goes wider. Let's discuss about the functions of the form of y equals negative a x squared. For that, let's see the graph of the function of y equals negative x squared. Let's draw the table of values. When x is negative 2, x squared is 4 and negative x squared is negative 4. When x is negative 1, x squared is 1 and negative x squared is negative 1. Now let's mark the points on the graph. Negative 2, negative 4, negative 1, negative 1, 0, 0, 1, negative 1 and 2, negative 4. This is the graph of the function of y equals negative x squared. The graph is a parabola. The axis of symmetry is the y-axis and the equation of the axis of symmetry is x equals 0. This curve is a maximum curve and the coordinates of the maximum point is 0, 0 and the maximum value of the function is 0. The graph increases negatively from -3 to 0. The function decreases negatively from 0 to +3. Now it's time to see some common properties of the functions of y equals negative ax squared. For that, let's get the functions of y equals negative 2x squared, y equals negative 4x squared and y equals negative 7x squared. You can see here also the graphs are getting skinnier with the coefficients. Now let's see some fractional value coefficients of x squared. Here also you can see the graphs are getting wider with the different coefficients. There are some common properties in all of these graphs. All of them are parabolic graphs with maximum point. The maximum point is 0, 0. The maximum value is 0. The graph is symmetric about y-axis and the equation of the axis of symmetry is x equals 0. Now we are going to compare the functions of y equals x squared and y equals negative x squared. When the coefficient of x squared is positive, then the curve is a minimum curve. When the coefficient of x squared is negative, the curve has a maximum value.
You can learn more about graphs from my next video.